Let's bring in Mohammed al-Bukhaiti. He's a senior political official and spokesman for the Houthis. Welcome to Al Jazeera. Parts of Hodeidah are in ruins, people are dead. You must have known when deciding to launch this attack on Tel Aviv that the Israeli response would be big. So why did you do it?
In the name of Allah, of course, the Zionist enemy has attacked civil establishment, and there must be a painful reply in this connection. And the Zionist entity will never be able to achieve its goals away from Britain and America.
Now, we've seen images, we're looking at them on our screens at the moment, a huge fireball over the port, key installations have been hit, oil refineries, civilian deaths. But can you confirm the impact there when it comes to casualties, injured, and the impact on infrastructure?
Before we talk about the results and the consequences, we need to confirm that our support to our brothers in Palestine is a duty, humanitarian duty, ethical duty, and religious duty, whatever the sacrifices are. These attacks from Israel will never affect our stand, which is in support always of our brothers in Palestine. This will increase our determination to work hard to stop the genocide in Gaza. End of the day, when we took part in this war, we understand that there might be sacrifices and losses, but our stand is just and ethical, and we will never stop until the Zionist entity stops its crimes in Gaza, whatsoever the sacrifices are.
I appreciate that you have a moral stance when it comes to the war in Gaza, but do ordinary Yemenis share this desire for sacrifice, as you say?
Of course, the American, British, Saudi, Emirati against Yemen is a result of what Yemen has said about the Palestinian cause. The Palestinian cause is now our first cause. It tops our agenda. We move for the sake of the Arab and Islamic nation. Consequently, the Yemeni people is sacrificing not after Al-Aqsa flood, but since the year 2015, because the Yemeni people has his own ethical causes.
Were you surprised that your attack on Tel Aviv was able to reach its target, given Israel's very strong military defenses?
Years ago, no one can imagine that Yemen will be able to achieve such violation in the field of military industry. And we have done this. We have achieved this great achievement. We have managed to deceive all the defenses of the Zionist entity. It's a result of our development in an ongoing way, continuous way. Those who cannot produce their weapons will never be equal to those who import their weapons. Every single time we develop our weapons in order to deceive and overcome the defenses of our enemy and to rift the gaps in this regard. What happened is a normal, natural result of the Yemenis keen to do the ethical and humanitarian role and the hard work to develop their weapons arsenal, military arsenal. The result is not surprise for us. It is surprise for our opponents and even our friends.
I understand you are happy to claim this as your own achievement, but Israel has long suspected Iran of directly supporting you. Were they and are they involved in supporting attacks on Israel and indeed attacks on ships bound for Israel in the Red Sea?
All our weapons, all our industry are Yemeni, locally made 100% in Yemen. This is from one side. From the other side, Yemen is ready, well ready for this battle years ago, as Hassan Nasrallah said that the components of the resistance are one, then we consider ourselves one of these components of the resistance, and we have developed our naval developments, and we gathered a lot of information about the Israeli military and commercial movements. That's why when we say Yemen has achieved a great success in deceiving the defenses of Israel, Yemen at the same time has done that because of the great preparations for this battle all over the years.
You mentioned Hezbollah as being part of a group of resistance against Israel. Does this mean that the Houthi forces are in direct cooperation, direct communication in coordinating attacks with Hezbollah on Israel?
Yes, of course, for sure. There is coordination between us, Yemen, Palestine, Lebanon, Iraq, and Iran. There are also joint operations between us and our brothers in Iraq. Also, our military operations in the deep of the enemy or in the sea is in coordination with our brothers in Hamas. Coordination is there. Coordination is developing between us, and we might reach a point of unification in fighting this battle against the Zionist enemy.
Do you fear you are inviting a very serious backlash from Israel and many of its allies? Houthi leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi has issued a warning, for instance, to Saudi Arabia against its collaboration with the United States, Israel and the UK in implementing measures to close Sana's banks, airport and seaport. These sound like huge possible concerns for Yemen ahead.
We fear Allah Almighty only. Yemen has proved that, and this is our option. The enemies were trying to defeat Yemen in 2015. The enemies tried hard with their economic and military powers, but they failed to do that because we depend on Allah Almighty. The Americans and the British tried to stop our military operations in the Red Sea in support of Gaza, but they failed because they depend on the military power, but we depend on Allah Almighty. Consequently, one day will come where the Zionist entity will regret its aggression on Yemen. We don't fear anyone. This is one side. On the other side, we felt comfortable, and we felt safe since the first day ever of our military operations against the Zionist entity, because we have promised Allah Almighty, and we believe in that. If we don't support our defenseless people in Gaza, we'll be subject to the punishment of Allah Almighty. This is only what we are interested in. That's why we have no options. And the Zionist entity have no options other than stopping the genocide in Gaza, lifting the siege on Gaza.
All right, Mohammed al-Bukhaiti, senior political official and spokesman for the Houthis. Thank you for joining us on Al Jazeera. All right, let's get more on all of this with our correspondent, Hamda Salhoud. Hamda, defiant promises to continue their assaults on Israeli targets coming from the Houthi spokesperson there. Israel also promising to retaliate should any more strikes come in its way. I mean, it seems like a dangerous escalation, doesn't it?
It certainly is, and yesterday's exchanges of attacks do mark a kind of new territory that we're seeing in this war. Remember, Israel's military is already vastly overstretched. You have the war on Gaza entering its 10th month. You have the situation on Israel's northern border that is seemingly continuously spiraling out of control. And now you have this. Remember what Israeli officials said last night, that this is the first time that we know of, at least, that they have attacked Yemen. And Netanyahu himself had said that the days of, quote, just defense are no longer viable. There have been more than 200 projectiles, ballistic, cruise missiles, drones that have been sent by the Houthis into Israeli territory. And most of them are just in this southern city of Eilat. That's really where they would be able to reach most directly. But the fact that this drone was able to go to Tel Aviv in the first place on Friday is something that's raising a lot of questions. And the army is still doing an investigation as to why no alarms were set off, why there was no air defense that was activated. And the Houthis seem quite strong and emboldened by this, saying that we were able to infiltrate Israel's very strong missile and drone defense system and do an attack of our own. But Israeli officials are saying that those days are gone, the days of no longer responding to attacks that are coming from the Houthis in Yemen are over. So they're saying that there could potentially be more strikes like we saw just yesterday if the Houthis continue their attacks, which they're vowing to continue.
All right, very, very tense situation across the region. Hamda, many thanks for that. Hamda Salhoud then.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.